Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Gardner with Lap of Love. I am coming from sunny Southern California this morning. It's about 9 o'clock my time, Eastern time, about noon. So thank you for those that have put it on your schedule to see this live video today. Dr. Danny and I plan on doing one of these live videos at least once a month. So this is my third live video, and I'm really excited to see the comments and the feedback, and also how much it has helped so many of our families. Hi, Dr. Robertson. So I want to first apologize if you hear any crazy roosters, because my neighbors got a ton of chickens and some roosters that are causing a ruckus this morning. But I wanted to take the live video outside because my last one was inside, and so I thought, since it's a beautiful day, not to rub it in any of my friends' faces that are out there suffering from the cold. But thank you again for those of you that can make it this morning. And today's video, I wanted to focus on three things. First, about when to say goodbye, but not just when to say goodbye, because that was my last video, is assessing quality of life. But trying to say goodbye or planning to say goodbye to your furry loved one on a good day, and that's really hard. And I'm going to go into more details on that. So saying goodbye on a good day. I'm also going to talk about anticipatory grief as well as caregiver relief. And so those are the three main things I'm going to talk about today. And so that hopefully it helps some of you, or if you know somebody that's going through this, to send this video to them and help them as well. So before I get started, I know that many of you have followed my story with Duncan, my 110-pound Doberman, who was the featured with me in the last video. So he was the stud muffin of many videos of mine and many pictures. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, he basically, covered everything. Hi, Kathy. Thank you. So my boy Duncan, who was 13 and a half, and again, he was on our last video. I let him go 2 weeks ago. So that was really hard. And so about 2 weeks after that video was posted. So I'm actually wearing sunglasses today on my head, just in case I get a little teary-eyed and I need to, cover him up. But I'm sure I'll get through this okay. It's been a little bit better now, but he was a big part of my life, and so I certainly miss him like crazy. And that's why I thought I could speak to these topics really well, and hopefully help out some of you guys. So first, I want to talk about saying goodbye on a good day and planning the goodbye if we can. I know that a lot of times we're struggling with our pets that are nearing the end, and we don't want to give up a moment with them. We want to spend as much time as we can with them, and that's what we want as well. But we want to make sure that we don't push it too far. And picking the day is really hard. And I had to kind of pick the day, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But in my last video, I talked about assessing quality of life, and that's really important, because when there comes a point, and if you can draw a line in the sand, it's really hard to do that. But if you can draw a line in the sand and know that if we get near this or past this, then I want to send them off in a good way. So that was my goal, is to make sure that Duncan was having an okay day, a good day, if you will, when we said goodbye, and that's hard. So first, I wanted to make sure that I assessed his quality of life every single day, and we have a lot of tools on our website to help assess that quality of life. And I drew a line in the sand. Now, that line in the sand has a lot to do with the disease they have and the personality of the pet, and the way that they're able to manage or at least live with their disease symptoms. So for Duncan, as you all know, he probably, you know that he had a lot of mobility issues. So a lot of our older guys are weak and wobbly. And so he was definitely struggling with that. And, that was, of course, declining over time. He was getting a little bit weaker, each week. But the major problem for me was that he had a really bad heart. And so that led to, hi, Angela. So that led to heart failure. And then we kept, coming in and out of heart failure, and managing those medications was really difficult. But with heart failure, that will lead to respiratory distress. And so anytime a pet has struggled to breathe, they're struggling to breathe, to me, then that takes precedent. And so he could be wagging his tail and loving on me, which he did at the very end, that still doesn't mean that he was well. Hi, Manette. So we're talking about your boy Duncan. So with his respiratory distress because of his bad heart, that was the most important thing for me, is to make sure that he was not struggling to breathe. Because if any of you have ever had asthma or a respiratory event, then you know that's really hard, because it messes with your brain too. Like, why can't I breathe? So when we said goodbye to him, I wanted to make sure that he wasn't in too much distress. So I wanted to plan a good day. Now, I travel a lot, so I speak around the country, so that's hard too, because I had a little bit of guilty feelings of traveling, especially towards the end when I didn't want to give up any precious time with him. So I planned actually to say goodbye to him about a week after I actually did, because I was going to be home from a trip and have some time with him for a few days before I had to say goodbye, and really I wanted kind of a weekend. However, while I was gone, he started to decline really bad. So we have wonderful lap of love veterinarians where I am and around the country, and so I called one of them and said, hey, can you just stop by and see how he is? And so when she did, she said, it's not good. So I left my training early. I was actually at physical rehab course, and so I decided that it was more important for me to be with him. So I left and flew home early and spent 2 nights home and said goodbye to him when I was here. So I really wanted to be good, and I didn't want to wait 3 or 4 days for me to come home. So I'm sorry that my neighbor's now doing the lawn. Of course it's going to happen. So I wanted to say goodbye on the best day possible for Duncan. So, what does that mean? And for every pet it's different, for every family it's different. For me, I wanted him to be home. I wanted to be with him for sure. I wanted to make sure he had the best medications on board to feel comfortable and relaxed and without any discomfort or pain. I wanted to make sure that his furry friends are nearby. So he's got Sam, his dog's sister, and Mingo, his kitty sister. There's another cat, but she could care less about the family. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody was there, even his furry friends. So I had to plan the day. And what I did not want is to wait for it to happen when he was in distress, and for me to feel rushed with it. And so many of you, if you want to wait to the very end, you may have to bring them to an emergency clinic, and that to me is the worst thing. So I wanted to make sure I was home, and that way I can be present to do it. So I wanted him to go on a good day. And that's hard, because we know that we're in this roller coaster. So if any of you are taking care of a terminally ill pet now, you know that you're in the roller coaster phase where there's good days and bad days, good days and bad days. And gosh, it's really hard to say goodbye on a good day, because you feel like you're stealing some good days from them. And I understand that. I understand that more than you can imagine. However, I just know in my heart that I might have stolen some good days, but I stole a lot more bad days from him. So I feel good with my decision that I wanted to suffer so he doesn't. And so I was going to suffer, that day or 2 weeks later. It was always going to be a sufferable event for me. So I wanted to make sure that he wasn't bad. And while I was gone, he was actually worse than when I came home. He started to do better. Maybe he was happy to see me, but that's just a part of the process, is this roller coaster. There's also a saying in human hospice that there's a flicker before the flame goes out. And so oftentimes we'll see a really good day, and then they just do this free fall. And I did not want him to have the free fall. So that's like the roller coaster ride, and then it's the big dip. And I wanted to definitely prevent him from that. So the good day is, what means the most to him and to us. And it is to be, surrounded with love and comfort, and to be at home. So what I did, though, is I did a bucket list. So I know there's a lot of different ways we could do bucket lists. And I'm going to have somebody post this in the comments right now. So this was actually Duncan's bucket list. And, I know that he can't be the way he was before. Listen, I can't be the way I was when I was 18. My bucket list at 18 is a lot different than it would be now and maybe when I'm 80. But I just wanted, so I know we're not going to go for a long walk on the beach with Duncan. He could barely make it a few houses down the street. So I kind of altered the bucket list for his current situation. So some things were enjoying a steak dinner, and we did that 3 times. So he was very happy with that. slumber party with me. So I slept out in the living room with him for his last 2 nights. He had visits from his girlfriends, so he was a stud. And so all my good friends came over, and the veterinarians that work with me always came to visit him. And so he got some good loving, and we took some pictures. And so he just loved to soak up the sun and lay out in the sun. So these are things that he enjoyed to do still. And then one of our favorite things was bringing home some In-N-Out for him. So here in California, we have In-N-Out, which is a very famous hamburger joint. So he got some In-N-Out burgers and fries. And so, I just wanted to write down a list of things that I wanted to complete with him before he passed. And so that made me feel a little bit better. These were not things, their bucket lists aren't meant to be depressing. So it just made me feel good that I got to give him all those things that he loved before I had to say goodbye. Then my own bucket list is like smelling him as much as I could and kissing him as much as I could. That poor guy got so many kisses towards the end. I also wanted to make sure I said I loved him a bazillion times. So there's been a lot of studies that say you will grieve more if you don't get the chance to say goodbye. So, and that I love you. And so I said I loved him like a lot. He already knew that, but I had to remind him. So to me, that was my good day. And again, I know it's really hard to say goodbye on a good day, because you don't want to miss out on anything good, but it is way better than to say goodbye on a really bad day. And so, because you're just going to feel guilty about that. And that's one thing that, as a veterinarian that goes to homes that, oh, hi, Linda, your elderly kitties, we helped you with your kitties. Thank you for entrusting us with your little ones. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so during a lot of passings of pets, I will typically hear 2 things that owners whisper or say to their pet. And that's either I'm sorry or thank you. And so for me, I didn't want to say I'm sorry. I didn't want to put him through so much that I felt guilty that I kept him around too long because I couldn't let go. And so I wanted to say, thank you. And thank you for, hi Kim, my Jersey girl. So I wanted to make sure I said thank you to Duncan for all the protection he gave, all the love that he gave, all the silly selfies that we took together, all the videos that we made. And so, and I was able to do that. I did not have to say, I'm sorry that I waited. And so that's just something to think about is when you say goodbye to your pet, are you going to be able to say thank you, versus sorry. So I missed him. And I still do, and I probably will forever. The next topic I want to talk about is anticipatory grief. And so we all know that when we say goodbye to somebody that we love, you're going to have a massive amount of grief. But there is this anticipatory grief, which is basically grief before the death happens. And that's to me, it was also anticipatory anxiety because I was so anxious about him leaving and saying goodbye and missing his presence in the house. So I just wanted to bring this up because it's a very normal feeling. I had it. I know that a lot of our clients have it as well. So it really affected, I wanted to make sure I concentrate on the good moments because it could really affect your brain and you could start just, you have 2 paths. You could wallow in that like grief process. Or you could just say, okay, I have to say goodbye, but I want to make sure that I enjoy the here and now. And so that's why I say I love you as much time as I can. I made my bucket list, so I tried to keep my mind off of the anticipatory grief that I had, but I wanted to capture every moment with him. So we did take a ton of videos, like I said, a ton of pictures, but I wanted to, sniff him as much as possible. And, towards the end, he kind of had a lot of toots that were not so, so good smelling. And when I saw him sleeping and when I saw him twitching, and feeling really comfortable and dreaming, I loved it. So I wanted to capture every twitch that he had as well. So anticipatory grief can be really tough, and so just know that it's normal to have that, and kind of try to refocus on what's going on right now. So another thing that happens is when you're dealing with your aging pet, there's a lot of caregiving that goes on, and so it is hard to not only physically help them, but like with Duncan, feeding was a problem, so I had to make sure that he was eating. And he was eating, you know, most of the time, but getting all his pills down him, he was not having it. So that was difficult. Making sure I woke up twice in the middle of the night, making sure that he was comfortable. If I heard a noise, I'd wake up. So I was tired. When we went for walks, it was more of a challenge. Then I have another dog, so then I had to go walk her also separately. So there's a lot of caregiving and a lot of stress that could happen, and because you're also worrying, and I think worry is a bigger toll on us than we think. Hi, Denise. I know you miss your Sassy. Trust me, I know. And so I miss my Duncan, and you know, Duncan was a lady charmer down here, and I hope he's charming some angels up there as well, and maybe your little one too. And so that's so when you're helping these aging pets, it's a lot of work, and so there's caregiver fatigue, and that happens actually in human hospice as well. So those that are taking care of them can get really tired. That's okay. I want to tell you, it was hard. It was really hard, but I would have done that for another 20 years, absolutely. But it was hard. And so what I found afterwards, though, is caregiver relief. So after I let him go, I felt almost relieved. So let me step back for a second. The moment we said goodbye, and I actually, I let him go myself. And you know, I was anxious until the moment of, and I knew that, like, okay, tomorrow, I knew I was going to do it at 3 o'clock. And so I was going to do it at 3 o'clock on a Monday, and I knew 3 o'clock on Sunday, this is my last 3 o'clock. Sunday night, this is my last night. You know, Monday morning, this is my last morning. So, like, you're just in a mindset of swirlingness and grief. And so, you know, 2 o'clock, this is my last hour, it's my last half hour. So it's crazy, the anxiety that you have. And I was just loving up on him the whole time. But the moment he passed, I actually felt relief. And so it was a weight off my shoulders. And that was not that grief was gone, because grief is still here. It was the anxiety was gone. And so, you know, in a way you feel guilty, because you're like, how can I feel good that my dog just died? Like that, you know, you feel guilty about that. And don't feel guilty, because it is not that you're happy that they're gone or that you're not missing them. That's totally separate. You just feel better that you don't have to worry about them. Again, my anxiety was not so much the physicality of doing it, but it was the worry. And the moment he was gone, I thought, he's okay now. He's okay. He's up there doing something. He's barking at nothing in the clouds now, right? So the anxiety was gone. So it's not that I felt better. It's just I didn't have anxiety anymore. So that's the anticipatory grief, what I like to call anticipatory anxiety. So that was gone. Am I still grieving? Yes. That's why I have my sunglasses on, and I'm amazed that I'm getting through this without crying. So anyway, so I wanted to just, you know, kind of talk about those things. And again, I would have managed him for the next 20 years if I could have. But that night, and this is where I started to feel bad. So if anybody else also feels this way, let me know so I don't feel bad. But that night, when it came time for dinner time, it was so easy. Like my one dog and my cat that I have left, they don't have any problems. It was so easy to feed them. It was so easy to let them out. It was so easy. And there was a moment that I was like that was easy, you know? And in the morning when I woke up, breakfast time took 2 seconds. So, and then I was like, wow, it's so much easier. I got a full night's sleep. So it's this caregiver relief that you may go through, and that's okay. Like, I didn't want to have to clean pee every day and make sure that when I woke up to see if his bed was wet, and I didn't want him to be sitting in it, but I would have done it. I would have still done it today. But it's okay to not feel like to feel okay about not having all those chores to do. So you know, because it's a lot. And for Duncan, we always had to be home. Hi, Holly. Thank you for letting me know you felt the same way. So. Again, none of this means I miss him any less. None of this does. I just miss the chores, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I know that Sam, my dog, who's still with me, she's 11. There's gonna be some time soon that that I'm gonna have to take care of her. It's been almost a year, and you miss. See, now there's the other funny thing too. Like, I now miss the chores, right? It's like it gave me purpose, let's say. And so, so there'll be times where it's almost like a ghost in the house where I'm like, oh, I got to make sure this is ready for him or whatever. So, and putting his dishes away or putting his beds. He had like 3 big beds, and so putting those away is going to be tough. I have not done it yet because my cat likes to sleep in them, so I'm letting her have that for the moment. So I talked about saying goodbye on a good day, and that is what I want most of you to think about. If you're still wondering when is time, is just, I don't want you to be at that free fall stage. And so, it's okay to say goodbye on a good day. It's okay to say goodbye on a iffy day. I just don't want you to feel rushed to the emergency clinic or panicked when you call us and panicked for our vet to arrive, because that means you're going to be concentrating on that and not concentrate on them. So Angela says you missed those chores and you would have done it for another 20, 40 years. To have him back, I would have done it. So I don't mind. So anyway, think about a bucket list. When we say goodbye to pets at Lap of Love, all of our veterinarians help make a paw impression in clay. And so I did that, of course, for Duncan, but I did something a little special. And some of you try to be a little artsy. I am not very crafty, but I tried. So I actually got this big color palette from Michael's craft store. And so it was big enough to fit. Actually, it really wasn't big enough to fit his paw in it, but after he passed, I dipped his paw in this, and I tried to do ink prints, which are very difficult to do. So I did a couple of them. So I did an ink print, which is, like I said, I had to do a couple because they weren't perfect. And now the perfect ones, wait, that was a blank one. So the imperfect ones, I can't get rid of them because it's his paw, right? So now I'm stuck with 10 of these because I wanted perfection, but I can't get rid of imperfection. So then what I did is I was doing his paw impression, and so after I dipped it in the ink, I then made another paw impression in clay with the ink on it. So I had to do it twice though because it wasn't perfect, so I got some swirls on the back. So I did it twice, and now I have a paw impression with the ink. And so some people say, oh, is it like the Rainbow Bridge because of all the rainbow colors? And I say, no, actually, one of my favorite things to do with Duncan is around 5 or 7 o'clock, depending on the time of the year, was to go for walks and watch the sunset. And so these just remind me of the colors of the sunset. So I wanted to do something a little bit special for him and have a memory. So I've got now 10 paw prints that aren't perfect in ink, and then my regular clay impression that we always do, and then my sunset colored ones. So hopefully this helped some of you when you are deciding when it's time is to make it a good day. And again, I know that stealing those good days are hard, but just remember that you're stealing a lot of bad days from them, and that sometimes can be even more of a relief afterwards. So I feel good that I was able to provide him that good goodbye and make sure that he was feeling loved and feeling a lot of steak in his belly and feeling and not feeling any anxiety. So I don't want them to have any stress. So again, he's up there now charming the angels as he did down here, charming everybody down here, and so I'll miss him greatly. And if you're in that anticipatory grief stage right now, so just know that you're not alone and that it's okay, and just try to not concentrate on that grief, but actually concentrate on the best parts of your pet right now. And because you don't want any of that time stolen from you, and so grief will do that for you. So and just for those of you that have that same feeling of relief afterwards, of like when Duncan passed and I felt relief afterwards, and then I felt guilty that I felt relieved, that's normal too. And so it's not that you are giving up or you're doing something bad. It's just you're relieved that they're okay, and that makes me feel a little bit better. So I miss him like crazy. I miss his stink. I miss his fur. I miss his, nosing me in the morning. And I even, I miss his farts. And so I miss a lot of him, but I was blessed to have him. And so I know that some of you will have grief for months to years, and that's okay too, because the pets become, a part of our story in life. And as I always say, in stories, the ending matters most. So I hope this was helpful for some of you. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below and we'll answer them throughout the day and get back to you. We posted some tips on quality of life here during this video. And so if you have any questions, again, don't feel don't feel shy to reach out to us or call our support center. We have fantastic support center people answering phones all the time, and many of them are actually certified in compassion. So you can talk to them even after you've lost your pet if you need some help. So again, I hope this was helpful, and coming from Southern California,